You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith, and the interview subject I've got coming up for you is a real good one. It's Richard Patrick. He's a fella that used to be in Nine Inch Nails. He's done some work with the guys in Stone Temple Pilots as well, but he's most known for his work in his own band, which is called Filter. Now, the reason for the conversation is to promote Filter's appearances alongside of Uncle Al and Ministry in September of 2017 on their Australian tour. I'll read out some dates quickly. They're all in September except for the final one, which is in Brisbane. So I'll start with the show in Perth, which is on the 25th. On the 26th, they've got a show in Adelaide. On the 27th and the 29th, there are two shows happening in Sydney. Melbourne, you've got a show on the 30th, and that final show on the 1st of October is in Brisbane at the Tivoli. So let's have a listen to what Richard has to say. Here we go. Spanning almost 30 years. When you look back at when you started in Nine Inch Nails all those years ago, did you think that the path would include hit singles with Filter, songs with major Hollywood films, critically revered collaborations with the DeLeo brothers, and many successful tours?
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on your show, and I love all the attention. I can't wait to come and play and show you what we've been up to for the past 10 years, or actually 20. Holy cow. I never thought that I would have as much fun as I've had. And, the fact that I'm still doing this and still running around the world and playing music is, it's something that you hope would happen. But when it actually does happen, you're very happy. So I'm very blessed.
Fantastic. And as you mentioned earlier, mate, you are touring Australia with Ministry, gosh, I'll get that right, Ministry, in September and October. Have you toured with Uncle Al before?
Never. I did work with Al Jorgensen when I was in Nine Inch Nails for the Get Down, Make Love
yes.
recording. And, Trent was, Trent and Al and I, and it was a wild time back then. But since then, I haven't even really bumped into him that much. So it's been years and years and years. But I've always been a huge fan, and I mentioned Ministry and Skinny Puppy, and as one of my most favorite bands of all time. And, I mean, they're right up there with Pink Floyd and, the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and the Deftones and U2. And, I think that they're hugely important to the world of music. And so, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to go on stage and be very humble and do the best I can and get off on time and make sure Al's audience is primed and ready.
Fantastic, yes. Well, I mentioned earlier about hit songs, and there's none bigger than your song Take a Picture. Now, it's one of those tracks that has taken on a life of its own. And look, I have played in cover bands for many years, and I've performed that song many times. Are you aware of the song's impact on popular culture? Because for me personally, it always takes me back to what I would describe as simpler or gentler times pre-9/11.
Yeah, we were, the funny thing is, a friend of mine had passed away, Chris Cornell.
Yes.
And our whole, energy when grunge and industrial first and alternative music first, started taking over, was we were all, up in arms about being Generation X, this, lost, just kind of disgruntled bunch of spoiled brats, essentially. And when 9/11 happened, music that sounded angry and intense was before 9/11 happened, music that was super intense and heavy.
Yep.
Was kind of the way it was.
Yes.
So when I wrote Take a Picture, I was kind of writing a song that was kind of like avant-garde to, or, you know, it's completely the opposite of what was on the radio. I mean, Korn, you know.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit. Yeah.
Dude, like, all of that, like, heavy stuff was huge. And when 9/11 happened, that's actually kind of like when I, like, started kind of, like, realizing that, like, wait a minute, we should be playing the heavy music now. You know, that's kind of why I played the mellow music. You know, like when everyone was heavy, I was like, wait a minute, now we should be pissed.
Yeah, you open up your own lane.
What's that?
You opened up your own lane.
Well, the thing is now what's happened. You know, as soon as 9/11 happened, I mean, they literally in America they just kind of short-term banned a bunch of songs like Hey Man, Nice Shot or When Bodies Hit the Floor, and they just kept going. And the reality is everybody started writing really super sweet music to kind of always stay on the radio. And so much of modern music has just turned into this like really sugary, sweet Justin Bieber, and he's great, by the way. He's a great singer, but it's kind of like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? So music has this weird way of kind of reflecting either what we think we are or what we want things to be. Do we want to be entertained? I mean, look what's happening in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
A money laundering gangster found some guy that is helping him to launder his money, and through some wild espionage, fake news, money, and influence, is now kind of in charge of the White House. And I'm talking about I'm talking about Putin. So this is like the Russians are having the greatest time of their lives right now because they're literally kind of in charge of the United States. And unwittingly, this buffoon, Donald Trump, has somehow managed to not only win the White House, but the Republican Party and the Senate and the Congress. So if we're not like in total denial about that as a musical community, I don't know what is happening. Because none of the music that is out there today that is huge, chain smokers, whatever the hell's going on, nothing sounds like we're pissed. And that's the weird thing. Because things were so creamy and clean and beautiful in the 90s that all we were bad at was like ourselves. We were like, you know, drinking and going crazy and spitting beer on each other and having a blast.
Yep.
But like as soon as music has turned into like a means to say something, you get criticized for it and you get picked on. Like I don't want to have to think when I listen to the radio. When I'm listening to the radio, I just want to go to work and I want to hear some dance music and that's it. Like Americans have lost their ability to even like talk politics. And that's the wildest thing in the world. So my music has done the exact opposite of what Take a Picture is about. And right now, with our new video that comes out May 31st, Mother E, it's all about losing everything.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. It's so wild to be an American at this point in time. You know, it's insane. So, like, Mother E, Crazy Eyes, Nothing in the Hands, everything we've got is all about, like heady, kind of intense, heavy music, like Uncle Al taught us back in 1987.
Yeah, for sure.
How's that for an answer that comes back full circle?
It does. I tell you what, and you have piqued my interest because I did read an interview with you in the early 2000s. Now, I can't quote it directly. However, I recall it was soon after 9/11, and in that interview, you mentioned that you were wearing a jacket with an American flag on the back when you were touring as an act of defiance against terrorism. So there have unfortunately been many more terrorist attacks on US soil and across the globe since 9/11, and of course the most recent has been the tragic event at the Ariana Grande gig in Manchester. So
Yeah.
you've already given me a wonderful response as to your take on what's happening in the US, but what's your take on what's happening in the world at the moment?
Well, the reality is this. War, oil, greed, all of that, and religion, all of that stuff is at a boiling point. The reality is this. If every single person lived like an American, you would need 5.5 planets of resources to make that happen for about a year. For 7 billion people to live like Americans.
Yeah.
So we have this bizarre concept. So does Australia. Your first world.
I'd say we're probably in the same basket as our American friends on that point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, your first world. Your first world. You're right here with us. So you kind of you're living life. Things are good. But like when you go to let's go to the East Coast. Let's go to India. Let's go to Africa.
Yep.
Let's go to China and have a look around. All of these people are starting to get pissed off because they want their religions forever. They don't want to be spoon-fed what America's been. Look what America's been done. So globally, we're doing well, and we could be awesome, but there's so much work that has to be done, and so much of our thinking is still in the 11th century. It's still, look at the Arabs. Bless their hearts. Saudi Arabia, I love you. You're a great place. Guess what? Got to treat women the same. Everybody's got to be able to have the right to vote. There should be regulations on how poor people are treated. We're not there yet. We're not global citizens yet. So Stephen Hawking. That's the people I listen to the most are guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Carl Sagan, Stephen Hawking. Those are the folks that I don't look up to people with gold planes and shit. I don't really care about that. I care about what science is teaching us. My heroes are Elon Musk.
Yes,
Elon
agreed.
Musk is pretty much my Jesus Christ.
He's awesome.
Because he's not only am I going to be super successful, but I'm going to make things that are amazing for us, for all of us. I'm going to make my trademarks free. Here's my trademark for my new lithium battery. Here's my trademark. Here, take it. Take what you want. And that's bold. That's bold. And that's actually going to have an effect. Praying to God, praying to Allah, praying to, all of these different, all of the 109 gods that we all have that we've all been clinging to for the past 5,000. All of this stuff has to eventually be put back into its place, and then we have to focus on being cool to each other. It's really that simple. Be cool to each other, help the planet, and, try and make the planet last longer. And that's pretty much it. It's 2 or 3 rules to being kind of liberal.
Yep.
You treat everybody the same. Just be cool with each other.
For sure. Yep.
It's simple. And if you can't follow those rules, you're not really human. You're more animalistic than human. That's it. That's all you got to do. If everybody would just fucking listen, then you wouldn't have to make me come out there and fucking beat your fucking assholes in the face. I'm just kidding. I don't even know why. I just broke into some crazy character. I'm taking too many voiceover classes. That's what it is.
No, that's it. That's all good. No, I really appreciate you, mate. You can I'm going to bestow a compliment. You can really hear your intellect, and you've clearly thought about what you're talking about. I believe.
Well, the thing is I mean, if it were about getting high at the club, believe me, I've written it. If it were about getting all my money and fucking my shit, and I got a jet. Apparently people think that's good enough to make you president. Not me. If you're going to Mars, that's kind of the
you got a much higher bar than that. Yeah, no, good on you. That's what needs to be.
I have way higher expectations than fucking buying some stupid gold fucking jet.
Yeah. No, I hear. Hey, look, unfortunately, as I say, I've got so many questions that I'd love to ask you, but we're almost out of time. And with all of my interview subjects, there are 3 questions that I do like to ask. So I'd like it if you could humour me here and play along. And your answers, of course, Richard, can be as not safe for work as you like. So here goes. Here's the first question. Choose 3 words to describe yourself.
ADHD. Loud and musical, and I'm gonna put in a 4th because that's how I roll. I have a great sense of humor.
You do indeed. Thank you for that. Next question is: if you could go back to when you were 18 and give yourself some advice, what do you think you'd say?
Chill out, relax. It's all gonna be great. You're going to have an amazing time, and no one is going to be thinking bad about you. Everybody loves you. Just relax. That's what I would tell every kid, every single kid on the planet. Just relax and enjoy your youth.
Agreed, and great advice
for
us all.
Enjoy being young, you crazy little bastard.
Yes, what do they say? Youth is wasted on the young, and I'm not that old. I'm only 39,
absolutely.
But yeah.
Could not be more truthful than that.
Yeah, you just don't realise what you've got when you're 18.
Once you get up here, once you make it all up in here, up in 49 land, I'm just the last year of my 40s, and I'm like, holy shit. Kind of wild.
All right, and the final question is, what 5 guests, living or dead, would you invite to dinner?
Yeah. Let me try this. Neil Armstrong, Carl Sagan, Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Bono. And I know there's some awesome folks out there.
That's a pretty good list so far, yeah.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, nice, very galactic.
Two singers, and that's all you need.
Yes.
2 singers and a bunch of astrophysicists talking about life. That'd be awesome.
With
and an astronaut.
And Abraham Lincoln overseeing proceedings, no doubt, and just taking notes and offering meaningful feedback.
Abraham Lincoln, just be like, hey, dude, remember when people used to own each other? Yeah, tell us about, that.
Yes.
Oh, crazy. It's not too far off, man. That's only 100 years. That's only 150 years ago. That's not...
No, it's not that long ago at all.
Photography. They had photography. They had, telecommunications, telegraphs. They had, they had machine guns. They were big. They had them. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, not that long ago.
Kind of close. It's going to take more than 2 or 3 generations, 3 or 4 generations of people to rebound from that. That's why racism is still such an insanely bad thing now.
Yeah, gotcha. Whereabouts do you live in the States, mate, if you don't mind me asking? What city?
I live in Southern California.
Right. It's around San Diego or LA area, I suppose, is it?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, nice part of the world. Been there a couple of times.
We love it out here. It's not as awesome as Australia, I can tell you that.
Mate,
you guys got a lot going on down there.
Well, we love having you here, mate, and I'll definitely be in the audience. So I don't know whether we'll get the opportunity to catch up, but what I'll do is I'll post the podcast to your Facebook timeline or your Twitter feed or what have you, mate. But it'd be awesome to try and catch up when you come down, at least anyway, and just share a beer and shake your hand.
You got it. I appreciate you for having me.
My pleasure, mate. Okay, all the best, and as I say, can't wait to see you down here in Australia.
You got it, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, mate. All the best. You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. I hope you enjoyed that one. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview subject was none other than Richard Patrick from the bands Filter, and he used to be in 9 Inch Nails, and he might still be doing some stuff with Army of Anyone, but time will tell. Thank you so much for listening.